This pro makes $100 in earnings every week, and today he'll be giving us his secrets to making earnings. This is Jack, and in the last year, he's managed to go from being zero earned to having over $3,000 in earnings. In this video, he'll be breaking down the win from the most recent solo finals and giving you the keys to win games in the current meta. So if you want to achieve those glorious first earnings, make sure to watch this video all the way to the end. And if you want me to ask your questions in the next video, join my Discord, link in the description. Your off spawn is the most important part of your game. Most pros live in the mythic POI like Grim Gate to secure the medallion, while others simply pick a split drop and fight it out. So when I saw Jack landing here, naturally I had some questions. Why this drop spot?
I meant to go for Underworld and messed up really badly.
So this wasn't planned?
Not in the slightest. I've actually never landed it before. Yeah, I think I was watching TikTok when I jumped out the bus, and yeah, no, this was not planned at all. This was just something that happened.
When you are out dropped, what's the first thing you look for? Because you said you've never landed there. So do you have a swerving plan, or do you just kind of play it by ear and see what's available?
Well, it depends. Basically, the way I like to do it now, especially after working with C so much recently, what we have is we have a drop spot, which we've been restored, but we have a drop spot, and then we have places we can either land in the drop spot pre-planned based off where you are landing in the POI. We can swap it up from there. Or if you're this situation right here, in solos and stuff, it's if you're out dropped, you have a backup plan, or you just know the stuff around your POI well enough that if it comes down to it, you can make a split-second decision and go somewhere else, you know?
Off the bat, Jack is giving us some really good information. No matter what your initial plan is, it's always a good idea to create a backup plan just in case things go wrong. The easiest way to do this is by simply queuing ranked and landing at your drop spot over and over again to get familiar with the area. This way, when you're out dropped, you'll know the area well enough to have a couple backup options in mind and save your game just like Jack did here. But Jack has one problem. Jack's loot is dog shit. Do you feel the need to play for game-winning loot early on in the game, or do you just kind of let it come to you?
Define game-winning loot. Are we talking about heal off, or are we talking about just good guns, good everything?
We're talking your ideal loadout plus max mats and at least some form of rotation if you played on carrying.
Yeah, I mean, it would be nice to have that, but if you can't get it, then you can't get it. You shouldn't have if you have good enough loot that you can get a top 5 with it, you should be able to get a kill that can get you first, It shouldn't be just defined by, if you have a perfect everything, perfect spawn, perfect this, that. You won't always have perfect, Yeah, I mean, it's just some kids think that if you have you have loot that's a great pump in 4-5-2 mats, they have to key because they're shambles, but they're really not. They have really good loot and winnable loot. It's just they need to play it better and play, that's top 5 loot. You can get a kill in top 5 and make it a win,
Before we move on to his mid-game, let's look at some key takeaways. It's very important to have a strong backup plan. Dropping is a really hard mechanic to master, and even some pros struggle with it from time to time. This means you shouldn't rely on it too much, and instead, play some arena and find some solid backup options. Do not take unnecessary fights. If you're shambles during the mid-game, just simply make your way into a POI where you can refarm scrap metal, god bricks, and trees, all while picking up extra loot other players might have missed. This should give you enough loot to make it to the endgame where you can find an easy refresh. Patience is key. In a different interview between me and Jack, he didn't end up getting any movement items all the way until 9th zone, but instead of forcing himself into a fight, he simply waits for an opportunity to present itself and takes advantage for the loot he needs. But we'll talk more about this later in the video. Now, let's move on to Jack's mid game, where the biggest question is, should you play for forecast towers and should you play for bunkers? And to get this answer, we'll have to look at the other interview I mentioned earlier.
I feel for solos, especially this season more than any other season, I feel you kind of have to play it just how it feels naturally to you. I think that's solos in general, because you're just it's you and your own thoughts just figuring it out. There's no IGL, it's just you. And I feel for this season you kind of have to just wing it and just play it how you think is best. I think that's how you play solos in general. Some people do better with strats going for forecast towers and stuff. I personally don't. I feel it's just people try to take too much thought into solos instead of just queue. Yeah, because solos literally is the simplest game mode possible. It's just you.
Jack makes a really good point here. A lot of players take advice from others a little bit too serious. They'll base their loadouts, playstyles, and mentality all from either YouTube videos or streamers they've watched. But what works for some players may not work for you. For example, in my video how to play a perfect cash cup, I say you need to have a rocket ram to win games. But in my first earnings video, I didn't get a rocket ram until the 10th zone and I only used it one time. Playing to what is comfortable for you is the smartest decision you can make while playing solo, and this perfectly explains what Jack does next. So you do end up going for bunker this game. Is that a normal thing you like to do, or did this just happen to happen?
Well, the reason I went for this game is, more recently I've been wanting to kind of like play for it a bit, because it's like, it's a bunker, it does give you very overpowered loot, it gives you the amount of heals, mats, all that stuff that you could need, like win a game or make it a lot easier. But the only reason I went for this game is because, one, like you said, I was just kind of in the area, and this kid also, the way he was boxed up on it, I just kind of like, he just didn't seem like a great player. He was like, he boxed like a 1x1 on it, and the other side of his box was like inside of it, so he couldn't go back and play in that box if he needed to. And it's just like, the way he was fighting it made me confident that I could beat him if I needed to. But I was mainly just playing to get him off of it, so I can get the like extra metal and mats and like upgrade my guns, mainly.
After a while, Jack's opponent disengages, allowing him to claim the bunker and get his preferred loadout. Notice how he doesn't commit to the fight, but instead plays strictly for the bunker, which in this scenario is the right play. Which leaves us with the question, when should you commit to fighting? What about this fight made you commit to it?
Well, mainly because of how where zone was and how just this kid didn't seem good. Like, I mean, he's getting sprayed, he's not building space, he's just literally building a 1x1, like, he's trying to hold while he's getting blocked by ramp. And then zone also opens up to us, so if I need to, I can just wait a second, play into storm, if I have medkits, or, you know, just, if I need to, I can play in for a second, like, tank. Because I'm pretty much in zone, and I'm on dead side, like, fully. There's nobody near me, so it's like, I am the third party. I'm not going to get shot in the back by another third party if I play it right. And it's just like, you know, free loot. I get 5 for 5 off of it, extra fizz, everything.
Before we move on to Jack's in-game, let's take another look at some key takeaways. Not playing to your strengths is one of the biggest mistakes you can make, so it's really important you just do whatever feels right for you, because at the end of the day, you're the only one playing your tournament. Recognizing bad players is a skill every top tier Fortnite player has. The easiest way to notice a bad player is to know what a good player would do in any given situation. For example, while Jack's opponent's getting sprayed, what he should do is make a few boxes in front of him to stop the oncoming lobby spray. Instead, he sits in the box under one ramp, making himself an easy target and giving Jack a free kill before in-game. Knowing when to commit to a fight is a skill that most players don't possess. The best times to commit to fighting are when you're too shambles to continue playing the game, or when you're fully dead side away from the rest of the lobby. In this scenario, Jack is on the dead side of zone, meaning no other players can third party his fight. And since the opponent was already being pressured from his front, this is an easy refresh that sets Jack up for the endgame. Now, let's move on to the endgame where Jack gives us his perfect formula for winning games. Let's talk a little bit about the way you rotate. Like, you go really early here, you don't really check too many of the boxes. Like, what's in your head, like, when you get a max pull like this?
The reason I rotated the way I did this game and like rotated it so early and stuff, one, I'm like completely on backside. Like, I need to get in head. I don't need to shoot anybody right now. Like, when people are backside, they try to tend to shoot more, and like they think, oh, well, if I shoot, I'll make them build and stuff. But no, like what people used to tell me and stuff is like, stop shooting people. When you shoot people on rotates, it just ends up getting everyone else griefed, and then you get griefed more because you're being an idiot. And like, I saw the kid to my left, he instantly started rotating, so I just didn't shoot him, just gonna let him rotate. And then I just started going with him as well, using my fizz, and just rotated up pretty much behind him. And just like followed, got all the way in, didn't really get shot much, didn't have to use anything, because I wasn't, you know, I wasn't greeting for something I didn't need, and like shooting kids for no reason.
Shooting people on rotations is one of the easiest ways to get yourself griefed and potentially get lobby focused for no reason. Jack is able to avoid this by simply going early and not bothering anybody on his rotate. He repeats this process for the next zone, and after getting a go-ahead refresh, he's in an interesting spot, so I'll let him explain it to you.
I didn't need a refresh, but it would have definitely helped me a bit, because like, this zone I feel like is the zone where everyone's just being stupid and like, oh, they need a refresh, or this is like what I was talking about earlier, like with the game-winning loot. If people don't have game-winning loot, they're full jumping in box, so everyone's just trying to jump in and be dumb and like 50-50, so it just kind of makes it easier to hit their fight, because maybe I can third-party kid jumping in, maybe I can... It's like a lot of options, you know?
Right now, Jack is in a position you may have seen yourself in before. You're not extremely stacked to the point where you can win the game, but you don't need the refresh bad enough to jump in the box, so what do? This is where Jack introduces a concept I like to call skill checks. So just now we saw you engage two different players. What made you commit to fighting the second one instead of the first one?
The first one, he was already out of the box, and it's also like, it's just a weird layer to fight on, you know? Like, he drops down, there's so many kids down there, like, man, I'll get third party most likely. This right here, I see the kid, he has no clue where he is, though he has his monitor turned off, I think, honestly. he whiffs at it like 6 times too. Like he was just panicking. It almost seemed like, because he wasn't even like checking his surroundings or anything. So it's just like kids like that. It's like hard to not like try to fight them because they're like they're not aware. They're a free kill almost. Yeah, it's kind of like break checking. You're like making sure like they're all aware. If they're not aware, then free kill. Like this kid right here wasn't aware. If I am, doesn't realize to get his top, double it down on him. Like he's just full like skill checking them. It's basically this kid right here doesn't realize he's running on my wall. Free kill. Now I'm like goat mats, goat everything. I don't really need anything. I put an extra rotate, it's pretty much just safe.
So now that you have cap mats, I see you instantly looking for height, but what did you actually see that made you decide to go for it?
Mainly the zone, pretty much. Like the zone, and then like you said, the cap mats. But like on this zone, like 9th through 10th zone, everyone's trying to cycle height because that's when they're trying to go for their big height play and stuff. That's when height's most like shambles, like unaware. Like look at him right here. He's getting ready to fizz for next rotate. Go ahead, go front side. And I just take advantage of that and I go and just instant push up on him because he's not expecting someone after height just fought. He takes height from them again. He has the security things, and then I'm gonna go up for it though. It's like, why would he expect someone else to go up for it too on top of it? Like,
is there a reason you decide to go up and fight for it instead of chopping or maybe going front side and spraying him out?
The reason I did it for like this way specifically is because zone, like it could pop, pull back, and then I'm in the best spot in the lobby, and like I'm second height. Height has no clue I'm there. He just got griefed too because I just saw the kid jump down to front low. So if I try to go chase and go take front low, that kid's already gonna be there. So I'm not gonna try to like fight a kid on that later when I can fight my 1v1 on height. Instead of dropping, we try to take front height from the kid and then trying to have to fight that guy. Maybe a kid jumps on my box too. It's like a split second thing, but it's just instinct. In that second, I feel like that's my better play. Like that's my better play.
With this being a solo cast cup, we have to talk about it. When do you start preparing for the infamous heal off?
It's in my mind pretty much like the entire end game. Like the second I get height and stuff, I'm constantly trying to like look for heals. I don't know if I'm just cursed or what it is, but I swear when I'm on high ground, I can never find whites. Like no matter what it is, I just can't find them to save my life. And so I'm just spraying this kid's top mainly to try to like, get him to drop to fight the third kid because there's 3 people up, not including me. I kill him. I should have smacked the wall there so I can go back and get the whites because later in the heal off I go back to try and get his whites, but the wall is full build metal, so it's like it could have cost me the win, but luckily just 3 medkits was enough. And that was incredibly lucky. So definitely trying to have more than 3 medkits, going to heal off just 100% if I can.
From here, Jack is able to easily win the game with the medkits in his inventory, but let's talk about our new takeaways. Shooting people during your mid-game rotations is very counterintuitive. More than likely, you'll end up getting yourself as well as the other person griefed, so just let them go and they'll let you go as well. Even when you don't need the refresh, it's really important to go for awareness checks on other players. This should land you some free kills to cap your match before our next tip. High ground is the easiest position to get a win from, so scouting it is extremely important. Jack goes for height in every one of his solo games, and in this game all he had to do was box up for a couple of seconds to see that he could get it. This could be the difference between you making $100 or tweeting that you hate heal offs. Whether you're on high ground or low ground, always try to make sure you have some form of extra heals to run back to. Whether it be a body you killed earlier in the game, or some extra med kits you saw while you were tarping, always try to make sure you have extra heals just in case what you have is not enough. Major thank you to Jack for coming on this interview with me. If you want to check him out, his links are down below. And if you want to watch me get my first earnings, click the video on screen.
Dion, that just blobbed me. You were a blobinator? You're a fucking dingus, bruh.